Hi, and welcome to another episode of Off the Page. Today I am looking at a new book. Well, not a new book. The book's not new, but I haven't explored the book yet in the Off the Page series. The book is called Don't We Already Do Inclusion? And it's a book that one of the very few that I did by myself. I don't have a co-author on this one, but it's essentially just a collection of action items. It's a collection of suggestions for any school district community that wants to be more inclusive. And it's divided into 4 categories: classrooms, schools, districts, and communities, and with 25 suggestions for each one of those stakeholder groups. So today I'm going to illustrate idea number 2.23, and it's called Create an Inclusive Kickball Game. And this idea refers not just to kickball, but to recess in general. How do you make recess more inclusive for all kids? And I have just a handful of suggestions I want to share about that area that comes up a lot. It comes up a lot in IEP meetings where we talk about kids really struggling out there, maybe not having ideas for what to do, kids who might have behavioral issues on the playground because it's very unstructured. So the suggestions I provide to you both help students find a home, so to speak, but they also may help students build new skills and find community. So the very first idea is to talk to students explicitly about inclusiveness and the goals for everybody to have, support and a place on the playground. So for small children, this might be in morning meeting. We're going to discuss making sure that everybody, is open to folks joining their games, and that we are going to be talking about, kids teaching each other about options for the playground. Older students might bring this up to student council and make sure that there are enough options for learners, for peers out there. So there's lots of ways to have this conversation in a very direct way to make sure that students are on board with the goals and philosophies of the school or classroom. The second idea is to create visuals or just create options for students, or make those options really obvious. So when some students come onto the playground, they don't need any product, they don't need information about what to do. They can't wait to get out there and start up a game of a kickball, or they can't wait to just go on the equipment, or just talk to a friend and run around. Other kids are really blown away by all of the potential options there. So what you might want to do is work on explicitly creating some options out there. There are groups, one that comes to mind is Peaceful Playgrounds, where you can actually buy equipment and you can buy materials, I should say, that will help define some of the spaces on the playground. So for example, you could create spaces that are for foursquare, and that you have the tetherball option, or you've got equipment over here, that you might have, and some schools have a map of the world or the United States, and there's some games to be played around some of those kinds of visuals. So making sure that students understand what those options are, and then what are the rules to those games. So that leads me into recommendation number 3, which is make sure that everybody understands the rules of games. You can do that through maybe making a classroom set of directions. You can have kids even do a research project around this. You can create little mini videos around, some of these options. When I was in school, we had we had a tetherball, we had, we had hopscotch, but I'm sure I didn't know how to use the actual official rules. And so for some kids that's fine, but other kids, it's too overwhelming unless they actually know what they're supposed to do. So having kids engage in some research, actually YouTube is filled with videos about not only how to play those kinds of classic games, but actually how to introduce, what kinds of new games you might bring onto a playground. So that would be an option to involve more students. Another thing you can do is start to educate your personnel. So educate your supervisors about what to do when students don't seem to have ideas. You can teach, choice making, how to help kids get involved in some of these activities. Better yet, you might even have older students volunteer to take shifts where they are facilitators, that they go to any student who looks like they don't have a place to be, and they might start up a game. They might help somebody find language to get into an experience or a game or an activity. And that can be just a fun on both ends. Some kids really like that. They like the idea of kind of coaching and supporting others. And so that might be something that you can bring in as a way to encourage not only inclusion, but just give all kids opportunities to build some skills in those areas. Finally, you could think about looking at access itself. So is your playground accessible? Is it physically accessible? Do you have, if you only have one accessible swing, would it be nice to have two, so that more than one student that might have a physical disability may be able to, be on that equipment at the same time? Do you want to look at things like, a double wide slide so students can enjoy those things with a buddy, making it a little less intimidating? Nerf footballs instead of, the traditional football, which for some kids is a little bit overwhelming. Even thinking about things like, hey, maybe adding sensory play, like a water table or something for young children. So really thinking about the space, the materials, the equipment itself as a way to encourage more students having success out on the playground. I hope that some of those suggestions were helpful for you. Maybe that's, creating an inclusive kickball game is one of the challenges that you would like to take on with your PTO, with your, your faculty, your school community. Lots of other ideas in the book, but there's also lots of other ideas in this video series. So if you like this idea, check out all of the other videos I have on the Off the Page series here on YouTube. You can also join me on my website at www.paulakluth.com to get more information and to see all of the other videos that have been uploaded. And just keep checking back here on YouTube or on the website to get more tips just like this one. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time on Off the Page.